You never lose anything, and you never fail either. Those things just can't happen unless you stop. Unless you believe that you have failed, or unless you believe that you have lost something. And I'm saying that's not possible, because it just means that you have to take the next step in owning who you are and becoming your authentic self, which is why you were born. I happen to know that every single person was born to do that. Now, that is not something I could have said easily many, many years ago, but I can tell you now, and I know exactly who you are and what you came to the world to offer, because every soul does that. But then we move through periods where that's a little challenging to do, as the period that we are in now and have been in for quite a while, and will be in for a little while longer. But see, I kind of knew this was coming up, but owning myself was a really challenging part, as it has been for you, for all of us, because we've got to come into this world and navigate our way through and figure out who we are. And sometimes that will show up in different ways, and you may not accept who you have become, because we all evolve. And so when we don't take that next step, we will look out the outside world and think they're doing it to us, and that's never happening. It's us. We are creating our lives, we're creating our world, and we are seeing the results of that. We had an election in the United States yesterday, and so a lot of people were kind of really wondering what was happening, why did it happen, and were a bit upset. And I get up and I say, well, yeah, that happened, but guess what? It's your best opportunity, because now you get to own who you are, because you know that's what was going on, why you were afraid, because things were going on. You felt this chaos and this insanity, and you thought, what's happening? You were being awakened to the next part of who you're meant to become. So was I. And so I can do that today, because I was given that message many, many years ago, as were you. Meaning that we're all born with something we're meant to do. It just takes a while before we will accept it, and it'll depend on our individual evolutionary path that we have been given, that we accepted. We all did, because we had a mission, we had something we wanted to do, and then we come together in the world and decide, how are we going to do that? And for the last 248 years, the United States was the leader of that, and then everything changed. But it changed for a reason. My Wilhelm said we're going to have a restructuring, meaning we can create something better than what we had before. And when I think about that, I thought, oh, you mean I can have something better than what my family had before, or what my ancestors? Well, that's the entire point of why any of us would live. But we don't always go in that direction, because we've also been programmed over generations, over centuries, over eons, to believe something different, to believe that we aren't quite enough. And when that happens, it's so challenging for you to own yourself. But I will tell you, we know enough now that it can be changed. I know it can be changed, because that's what I had to do. But I'm going to read you the message that came through last year today. I'm saying that because that's how I receive messages. Well, it came through 4 years ago, the most important one in 2020, and you'll understand it today, especially after the election, and you will question how Wilhelm could have written this to then, and then you're looking at the world in your life and you'll understand this message. I am going to read this message. You can find it on my website, anyadvicefortoday.com. It was put up today for us to all have, but I'll read it. You never lose anything. Whatever you thought you might have lost was of a physical or material nature. You are an eternal spiritual being, so you can't lose anything, because you always have the opportunity to gain more. Please take some time to decipher the message we provided last year on this date, and you will understand the restructuring of you and the world we have mentioned. But today, you might believe in yourself a bit more. We mean you and our messenger, for he too did not fully accept we had provided an ascension guide for you and your world, but we have. And the result has been his healing, and now he will be more willing to own his gift, as you will be, and we know it is you. So we go back to November 6th of 2020. And again, the dates and the information, there's a connection. There's an order in the universe, and this is how these messages came through. Okay, now you have all won. By the end of this message, you will understand the meaning of those words. And if you choose to accept them, you will accelerate your evolution and that of your world. We said yesterday that we would reveal more, and we did that because we wanted more of you to know the results of the presidential election in the United States. At the time of this transmission, Roger feels that he knows the presumptive winner, even though that is not public knowledge. That sentence informs this message for each of you. We have said you are moving through a massive restructuring, individually and globally. Your part is discovering what aspects of yourself you have denied for years, decades, or lifetimes. You chose this lifetime to move through many of them. You chose to be here. After all, you wanted to participate in one of the most massive shifts because you desired to expand. Still, you also knew you were so resistant that you requested some help. So a global pandemic and contentious election was the perfect combination. You wanted to be here now to move through some limitations. You may have thought it had been many things in your life, but that was your singular goal. We have given Roger information for decades and have made no secret about how much he doesn't trust or believe what we tell him. You each have done this, or there would be no reason for you to be alive now. It was never about who was right or wrong, the election, or even the pandemic, but only about what you choose for your life. None of you entirely accept your rightful place in the world, but more of you will now. The division within you and your world will begin to close a bit more. And then you will see there is a video there that I would love for you to listen to, because it was a session that was held on November 4th of 2021. And as you hear it, it will make so much more sense for this message and everything that is happening in your life and our world. In 1989, when I started receiving Wilhelm, I did not know what it was going to be or where it was going to go. You don't know that either, because it's something that happens as we develop, as we become willing to move into our consciousness. We all exist in consciousness, but we will have different ideas about that. And for me, receiving messages like this was really challenging to tell people, because it didn't make sense. Except when you understand that all we do is have consciousness, we just have different levels of it. But when we begin to understand that, we can understand others a bit more, because we can see that people are operating at different levels of consciousness. So your responsibility becomes to own yours. It's to always move up to a higher understanding or level of that. And you were born to do something. I know that. Everyone was. But sometimes we can put it away. When I had a dream, and I'm going to share this with you because you've had the same thing, and it's probably here now, because that's how the energies are happening in our world now, for you to take the next step and own who you are and stop putting that dream away. How long are you going to live? That's what I had to look at for myself. And so the election was perfect for me, because now it validated everything that I had been receiving for years and didn't trust, just like you. That's all that we do. The only thing that happens is that we just don't believe ourselves, and we just don't think it's us, and it is. It always is. And I love now being able to channel and bring in information and do private channelings, which I never would have done before, because I never would have revealed this. But that is a gradual acceptance that we each do into our authentic self. But now I've got to do so much more. I'm 74 now, and so I can't hold back, and neither can you. But I'm going to read one message, and this is about your dream, because you had it, and now is the time for you to live it. I had it a long time ago, and now that's what I'm going to do as well, but I'm going to share mine with you so you will understand. First of all, please understand that when I channel Wilhelm, when I'm doing automatic writing, I don't censor it. I just give whatever's there because sometimes it's really confronting, and it'll be the same for you because we just hide from ourselves and they lovingly pull it out for me. So this was December 8th, 2018. While Roger finds writing this message somewhat difficult for him, he also knows it will help all of you who choose to accept its wisdom. Several months ago, Roger discovered a dream he had written in 2005. The discovery of this writing seemed mysterious to him, but now it makes sense. He could not believe what he had written until now. You all have dreams of varying natures and degrees, but because they are personal to you, you have difficulty believing what you are receiving is of the are receiving of the validity of the dream itself. We have asked Roger to transcribe what he received, and those of you who are intended to receive its content will do so. The dream. August 2005, 4:30 a.m. The appearance of this dream was there were several spiritual leaders of sorts in a group, in a circle, and we were asked who would do something, and I ran forward. It seemed that I volunteered, while at the same time thinking, why did it need to be me? I seem to be in a conflict of whether or not I will continue to listen and be open without the pain, or will I go back to my old ways, which was sort of the indication with me seeing an old friend yesterday. I asked for guidance and clarity. There's still a part of me that thinks the experience isn't real on some level, and I could put it away while a stronger part knows that is not the case. Wilhelm. And that was not the case. I attempted for years. I said, oh, no, I'm not going to do this. No one's going to understand. Only to discover that because of that, I discovered something and built something that could change anyone's life and actually change our world. And that was really kind of difficult for me to accept. Because what you come to understand is that everyone is born equal. You're a soul. You come into the world and you are born as everyone else, and you have consciousness. Your consciousness gets formed from where you came from, your ancestors, your parents, and all of that. It's always limited. And unless you're willing to move over the limitations, you don't discover your authentic self or the reason you were born and live that dream because you have it. Now, I know that is true because I've lived it. I've walked through every difficulty, physical challenge, accident, illness, disease, and all that, and they're gone because the work was in the consciousness. It's never about what's out there, it's what's within you. And so now I'm thrilled that I can give this to so many more so that they can understand how they can create the lives they want to have, and then we create a very different world. What I was told with this information, your life operating instructions, was the actual philosophy that I was given. And it was said because we were moving into a new world and we needed to operate in a new way, but that could only come about through each of us, meaning that we had to become willing to let go of everything that was old in our DNA, basically, that did not serve us, and any kind of judgment, any kind of hatred, anything that we're projecting onto ourselves or to others. That's what we're meant to let go of. And then what happens is you heal in every way. And I can say this because that's what happened for me with the work that they gave me over 35 years. So I know that you can do it. This is why I say there's nothing you can't accomplish. And I know this is true for every single person. The only difficulty you will have is that you won't want to. You won't try it. You won't move beyond where you are. And when we don't do that, we will have results that many people were feeling today, like something went wrong. It didn't. It's us becoming willing to own our authentic selves and bring greater awareness to our world. That is why you've seen all of the difficulties. Now, when I first began receiving this information and I was told that I was given this in 2012, that made no sense. And then I got afraid. I became really, when I received so much of it, especially in 2020, I go, what's going to happen to our world? But they send me to a wonderful message that I'm going to give to you now, which will help you feel so much better about whatever you are experiencing this day in your life or witnessing in the world, because I'm saying that we're creating a great one if you decide to create your great life. That's all that ever happens. But this message will help you to understand because it's one I was led to that gave me greater peace and understanding. And it is this one. Several years ago, when I knew the changes that would be occurring in our world, and I thought it's going to be a little challenging for a lot of people, and I wanted to know, what could I say? How could I have them understand? And so then Wilhelm led me back to a message, again from 2012, that will help you understand today, and you will feel so much better about what you're experiencing and what you're witnessing in the world. It doesn't matter where you are because it's happening everywhere globally, but you will understand this. And here is the message. And it was November 7th, as in tomorrow, 2012. Again, there's just this cyclical organization. Okay, conflict and unity always coexist in physical life experience and are necessary for expansion and evolvement. This is true in your personal experience as well as your world at large. You cannot know unity within yourself without having experienced the questions that conflict bring to your awareness. You spend your entire physical life experience coming to know who you are, and that can only occur with the contrast that conflict offers you. The end result, then, is always a period of unity. When you have sufficiently answered those questions about who you are, you experience unity. And through unity, you generate more energy and awareness to expand and evolve. This is true for you and your world. Wilhelm. Now, when I saw that message, because I don't remember them when they're coming through, but when I was led back to that message, it gave me the greatest understanding, because what goes on throughout civilization, we move through periods like this where we're trying to create a better world. And the way that we do that is we let go of the lower vibrational things that have existed within us, and then it shows up in the world. This just happens to be a period we've never done before. And that's all arranged, and it's the energies of our planet, of our galaxies, and I began to understand that, and that is why I was able to heal. And I received all of this information during times of changes in our world, which is why it's so effective and works for everyone, and why it is connected to you. I had a wonderful private session today with someone who saw me at Gaia when I went there for the channeling conference, and she needed to have a private channeling session. We did that today and gave her every message on the years that were pertinent for her life experience now to understand where she was. And it was so incredibly accurate, which I'm saying that because you have that plan as well. We think sometimes we don't. We do. And it's here now. That's why we're having this. So nothing is ever lost. It's just time for you to accept, love yourself, and become really happy and abundant, because it's within you. We just have to be pushed sometimes, as I was. All right. Thank you for being here. Please subscribe to the channel. If it's your first time, share it with others. We're going to spread great information to everyone. All right. See you soon.